AI can do a lot of good things for the creators, speed up your processes, give you more ideas, create content potentially, help you understand what's working and what's not working. We're seeing kind of the shift where creators are so scared of it that they don't want to touch it. And we said that's not the case. We believe almost in this idea that creators who use AI will flourish, and creators who don't use AI at any part of it will probably fade away.
Explore the minds and marketing strategies behind today's winning brands and businesses. Tap into the power of the creator economy with Earned by CreatorIQ.
Hello, welcome back to Earn. Thanks for being here, Ted.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to do this.
So I have to start. Ted Raad. It's a pretty great name. As a Brit Starr, I can really appreciate the kind of superhero-esque name. I'm sure you like to throw that one around.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice last name. I thank my dad for it all the time. And in fact, when I had my first daughter, I got a lot of those rad dad hats and shirts. So it worked.
It works. It works. Well, like any good superhero, I think you have a really interesting origin story. So I want to start there. You founded and own one of the fastest growing influencer management agencies in the US, but you got there in a really interesting way with a bit of a behind the scenes look at what it's like to be a creator. So let's start the conversation there.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess my intention was never for it to become this, but I think organically it has. And kind of how that started is in 2015, my wife decided to start a blog. And at the time, they weren't called creators, they were bloggers. And she was online doing this thing while she was at work and talking about fashion. And I was working at HP during mergers and acquisitions. And then all of a sudden in 2017, her blog blew up and her Instagram blew up. And she quickly amassed 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 followers and knew that she needed help with the campaign deals that were coming in. And I knew that we needed help on the campaign deals coming in. I did plenty of negotiations before. And I know that you need leverage. You need to know what the industry is asking for. You need to know what current rates look like. I knew that she needed someone to advocate for her in this brand new field that really nobody really knows about, especially back then, which now I feel like is ancient times. And so she signed with an agency, a management company that she was focused on signing with. She declined all the other ones until she got with this one. And when she signed with them, the experience was great at first, but then she started getting offers from the brand that weren't organic to her, which is fine. But when she declined them, you could feel kind of the hesitancy from the management company on why she was declining. And they were for huge rates at the time, especially more than anything I was making at my job, right? And I was like, hey, you probably should accept these. And she made a very good point. She said, look, if I accept these, I'm a social media influencer only because of what I provide as a service, which is fashion and lifestyle. If I deter away from that, they're not going to follow me anymore. And I'm not going to get more followers from a TV show. She's not on one. Or being a musician. She's not one. So she has to stay true to who she is. And if she deters from that, then she has a problem long term. So she was always thinking long term that she needs to grow her audience. She needs to be authentic to her audience. She needs to be honest with her audience and actually provide the feedback that she wants to. So if she didn't like something, didn't matter how much money it was, she would never promote it because then her audience would buy it and they wouldn't trust her anymore. So she needed to be true to that. Now, the management company kept getting upset with her when she declined it. And they kept saying, look, what's the point here? We're not understanding the goals. And she said, well, my goal is if you believe in what I'm doing, you're going to love the 2-year me, but who I'm going to be in 2 years. You may not like me right now, but trust me, it'll build. And I was along with that vision, even though all the money she was throwing away at the time for me was like, hey, honey, like, what are we doing here? But she had a vision to where it was going. So it ended up being kind of a hostile situation where the management company didn't want to manage her. She felt like she was working for them. She just like, this is messy. And I thought her idea was right. I think she needed a true advocate on what the vision was for the creator. And that management company was really more focused on managing celebrities and artists and stuff like where they were going to get their followers from another avenue. And she wasn't. She was, one of the first few 100% authentic social media creators that grew their following just through social media. So I asked her friends, hey, you guys like your agency? Here's our problems. And they said, those are our problems. Like, don't come over here. Like, I'm having the same problem. So I always say, like, Trend doesn't do anything new. What we do is different, but management has been around. What we believe is just authenticity for the creator and advocacy for the creator. If we understand the creator's 2-year strategy and vision, and sometimes they don't have one, but we can help navigate what that looks like for them, then we can partner them with the right partnerships and also advise them which partnerships won't make sense, which we believe is healthy for the relationship with the brand. If a brand works with a creator and that creator loves their stuff and has been promoting it organically and knows everything about this brand, it's going to perform better from a brand awareness standpoint, from a click standpoint, from a sales standpoint. It's going to work better. But if you're a brand and coming in and saying like, hey, I want to work with this creator, and the creator doesn't know who you are, never really worked with you before, and it's a lot of money, so they take it. It doesn't mean it's going to perform well. It might actually perform worse. In fact, we see it perform worse on our side.
Yep.
So the thought was, we're just going to advocate. It has worked really well. We have added a lot of things. We've made sure that we call ourselves a white glove service management company. We do everything from pitch to payment for the creator. So they just focus on creating, especially in the social media world where the algorithm changes constantly. We want them to focus on what they do best, and we'll help them with the rest, knowing they have a partner that's advocating for them through this weird social media space where it feels like you're kind of alone. We want to make sure they have somebody that kind of walks with them in this journey, and that can help them guide what that looks like to make sure that this turns into a long-term career, not just a short 5-minute stint. Let's make as much money as possible.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting. So many things there. One is really identifying and building growth strategies around a long-term vision, right? Who do you want to be? Not today. What's not your next move, but what's the path to get you to kind of a long-term sustainable career? And I love that word career, because I do think that has been something that I've seen in my perspective over the last 10 years of working in this industry, is that this is truly a career path, and not just from the like kids wanting to be creators when they grow up, but as a true, like, you can invest in building a career as a brand, as a business owner, and truly find ways to diversify the way that you drive value around that brand and business. I find it really interesting. Your story has to mirror the stories of a lot of the creators you work with, because they are founders and entrepreneurs themselves, right?
They are 100% founders. I mean, to start something, this is what I say about being a social media creator. Starting a social media page costs nothing. Anyone can jump in and do it. But to establish a following and to continue to be consistent in the way that you're posting and finding, ways to create content daily and to be different in your own voice and not copying someone else, I mean, it takes a lot of work to get things going. And so to be a creator is no easy feat. It takes a lot of work. In fact, you're doing it for absolutely nothing for a very long time. And you're trying to establish a community, which is hard to do. They need to know who you are. They need to know you show up every day. They need to understand what exactly you're providing them as value. Is it fashion? Is it lifestyle? Is it comedy? Is it hope? Like whatever inspiration, what is it that they're following you for? And then you have to kind of dive into that and grow it. And it's not easy. Now, the barriers to entry is free. You don't need money to start it. I mean, you need a phone, but the app is free. You just got to get going. And that's the part that typically is the hardest part to get on it.
That's so interesting. We've done research in the past on, if you want to call them like graduation rates, like to your point, like the cost of entry is nothing, but to make it is so hard. And that filter gets tighter and tighter the further you get in your career. Whether you want to look at that, in the past, we've looked at that from a follower count standpoint, but now it's much more about like the content, the engagement, the community, the value of what you're creating. And again, that gets harder and harder. So it really is like, if you look at the kind of creator community, it's shaped like a pyramid where it's easier to get in and much harder to kind of make your way. I think the other interesting thing that you mentioned is how important it is to have somebody in your corner as a creator. That has come up in a lot of my interviews with creators as well, that even though from the outside looking in, it can seem very glamorous, seem like you're connected to all these people. I mean, you are, right? You're driving this community, you're at the center of it, but it can be lonely and isolating. And so having somebody in your corner as a partner is, I would imagine, something that can really help to, as all of us, like we need people, mentors, partners to help us, keep on keeping on.
100%. I think that's the one thing about being a creator is they started this business. A lot of them kind of stumble across it because they did something they enjoyed, and then it turned into a business. And then all of a sudden they have brands and people reaching out, needing things or wanting things. And then you get things from creators all the time. We still get these from brands where it's like, hey, I'll gift you something, but you need to post it. And it's like, hey, okay, but this creator's established now. And now most creators that before they join us will take those. I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem, I'll do it. And then the brand will come back and be upset for things. And it's like, well, that's not how this works. And They didn't know that's not how it works, the creator. They just kind of roll with it. And then the brand gets upset because they had an assumed, a response from the creator that thought was going to happen. So it's helpful for a creator, I think anybody, honestly, to have somebody who's like, hey, this is how we can help you. This is how we can help manage that relationship. So the brand also has a healthy relationship with the creator. It doesn't feel very hostile if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And we say this to the creator all the time. Allow us to be the bad guy. We want to make sure that the creator and the brand talk. We are not gatekeeping relationships. We encourage relationships. In fact, we encourage our brands all the time to get to know the creator a little more too. See how they vibe with you. See if you like what they're about. And that also helps the creator, I think, long term, promote the brand better. They feel like they know the brand personally. And that's very helpful. And I think what we do is we kind of advocate and help them strategize on how they're going to get there. And we walk with them in the journey. And we always work with their 2-year vision. Like, this is your vision for who you have. Is it still the same? Yes. And this is how we should walk. And is this who you want to be? Yes. And then this is how we adapt and try to roll out, strategies forward. And even for me, like, I like to have someone in my corner. I remember when I started Trend, the first thing I did is go find an executive coach, right? Like, I started this in the corner of my bedroom, me and my wife's bedroom, in a small condo. And now it's growing. I didn't know what to do. If it's just me, like, I didn't make a lot of mistakes, but having someone there to kind of talk me through things and help me work through it has been very helpful. And I think it's the same. Everybody kind of needs someone to just be like, hey, you can definitely do it yourself, but it's a little bit tougher when you work through certain scenarios.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked a little bit about what good looks like and how that can be different for different creators. Again, like understanding what they're trying to build and create, how they can add value to brands. Walk me through how you think about kind of what good looks like on the creator side. And then after that, I want to talk about the brand and partnership side as well.
Yeah, great. So the way we like to think about it's kind of broken into 2 buckets. We call them, an ROI creator, which is one bucket to where they are very used and their audience is very acclimated to a creator posting things online, clicking it, trying to get it for sale. So they post things that are on sale, they post things that are attainable, affordable, new, trendy, and people follow them for that. And so when a lot of brands work with these creators, they're saying, hey, I'm actually looking to pay you X, I'm expecting 2X on that. And that's what we call our ROI creators. They have trained their audience to get there. Then we have a little bit of a mix of we call them awareness creators. And what they're doing is they're good at creating content that brings an awareness or feeling to your brand. So then you use them to say like, hey, I want something very creative, something very fun to pop up, and allow that to be like hey, this is kind of who we are too. We're fun, we're creative. And a good example of each, if I were to use them, is if you look on the brand awareness side, it's somebody definitely going to be like Mason Smith at the Dad Social. He can create excellent content that brands love to be affiliated with him and how he's doing things. And I think that's one avenue of like, okay, we want to use him to get our name out there and to show us in a fun light. And he has very good content that I feel like is very brand friendly. So people love that. And he gets a lot of good responses to it. An ROI creator is anyone that you would see as to be almost like a strong affiliate side. So, my wife included, but Better with Chardonnay, Steph Joplin, Nasreen Shahi, Hey Nasreen, like those are the ones that are very strong with that ROI side. And they're very much like, hey, if I'm going to take this, it's because I love it. I know my audience will like it. And those are the ones that I think are kind of successful in this ROI side. So we see it kind of in 2 buckets.
Yep.
And sometimes they overlap and sometimes they do good at each, but it's typically how we see it.
Yeah, sure. So when you are helping brands and creators decide what will be a good partnership, what is your criteria for that? What does good look like on the partnership side? When do you know when to lean in and accelerate those conversations and opportunities? And when do you decide maybe like this isn't the right fit?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that we like to do. We have a division, there's Trend Management that manages the creators. We have a division, Trend Social, which helps strategize with brands. And what we try to do, and we try to tell them, is that before you jump into this ROI side, you need to make sure that people understand who your brand is. And if a new brand started tomorrow and they said, hey, we want to just go straight to 2X ROAS and we want to pay this creator, we expect 2 times our money on this creator. Well, if no one's ever heard your brand, they're not going to trust going through the sales process to get it. And they're not going to believe in it a little bit. So you have to invest in the awareness side to get things going a little bit. Now, if you're the Abercrombies and the Nordstroms, and I mean, those are well established. But if you're coming out of the gate with no one really understanding who you are, your market, you need to make sure you establish kind of the awareness piece. So we say put on the side your budget to work with the brand awareness creators to get things moving a little bit, but also set apart a little bit for the ROI creators to get your name out there. And there isn't a 2x ROAS right now. We'll tell you it's not going to happen. But in 3 to 6 months after working with a few of them for a while, there will be. You have to establish it and grow it a little bit to get there. And the audience has to get acclimated to it. And then after that, we can start saying, okay, the ones that you've worked with that you've deemed to be successful, let's see if you like it. And a creator, honestly, like when we give out partnerships to creators on the Trend Social side, like they'll tell us like, hey, this won't work with my audience. And we trust them. We're not going to double down like, oh, this brand really likes it. We go to the brand and say, hey, the creator doesn't want it. Don't push it. Let's go find someone who thinks is a good fit for you. Because that's the most important part. If a brand takes it and doesn't like it, they're going to come across on their content not as strong as if they love it. And you want to find those that are going to love it to push it going. So we kind of deem success, it varies depending on what the opportunity looks like.
Yeah, I like that. We talk a lot with our customers about how important it is to understand the outcomes you're going to drive, and that outcomes should really be at the forefront of how you discover the right creators for that given partnership. And I am, reading between the lines, especially with your focus on the long term, we really encourage, we see so much value out of long-term partnerships in our data. If you look at creator retention, so a brand's ability to retain a creator, that creator posts about them regularly, consistently over a long period of time, that lifetime value of that partnership is just going to increase exponentially. It's a huge differentiator in terms of programs, right? Always trying to fill a leaky bucket with new creators talking about your brand is difficult. Just like for our businesses, it's very difficult to continue to grow a top line if you're just always leaking out the bottom. So I'm curious if you've seen a pattern and I'm assuming it's a little both, like one, an intentional move on your part, but also more tolerance within the industry to establish long-term partnerships with creators.
Yeah, we always try to push for long-term partnerships with the creators. There has been hesitancy, to be honest, over the past year or so with long-term partnerships with creators because they're just worried about the economic situation over the course of the year. So they were like, okay, if things are great this quarter, we'll work with this creator this quarter, but what if things change the next 2 quarters? What we try to tell our brands is pick a few that you would like to go with, that you know well, that you've worked with, that have proven to be either one, providing good content to you, one, professional, sending things in on time. You can reuse the content if you want to. Those are the ones that you pick a few to do long-term partnerships, and then you can bucket out a few around them as you go along. And so if you have, 20% or 30% of your budget kind of tied to long-term partnerships, those have always shown to return. Now, what I always say is influencer marketing in any big organization is like a third or fourth bucket of marketing that they actually care about. And really what we try to do is show them the importance of what influencer marketing is and how it affects everything on marketing scale. And that should almost be at the forefront of how they think about marketing. We've seen it plenty of times. I mean, we just went to a conference in Cannes and the whole pitch was how Alex Earl helped Poppy blow up. And that was all done through, now was there additional marketing channels? Sure. But who kind of helped navigate what that looked like? I mean, it was an influencer. So you got to use that as almost your base. And what we spend most of our time is helping them talk to the CMO or whomever, like, hey, this is why it's important to create a structure like this. And we believe that if they put more focus on it, their bottom line will look much better. And long-term partnerships, to your point, is really a strong catalyst into doing so. The brands that are comfortable with it are the ones that we've seen succeed. We just got to get more people comfortable with the feeling of working with a creator long-term.
It's such a good point. I love the Poppy case study. Allison Ellsworth, the founder, is, I think, incredibly smart and in her conviction of creators. Like, she has always said this is a creator-centered brand, and they had early celebrity endorsements from the likes of J-Lo, but actively curated such a diverse community of creators around them, and then were able to evolve those partnerships. Alex Earl is such a good example, who actually ended up investing in the business.
That's right.
$1.95 billion exit, not anything to sneeze at, but I think it is those examples, and we just recently saw it with Rode as well, of these really fast cycles of value creation and realization from creator-centered, creator-led brands, I think are really telling a market story that all of us can get behind. We actually see like big enterprise brands outspending and outpacing indie brands today because they understand the importance. And so I think one of the changes, the massive transformations we're going to see over the next year or two is really that like solidifying and codifying of creators as central to strategy.
100%.
And I'm here for that, obviously.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more of it now. There was a new product that was just released called Jams. They're supposed to be competing with Uncrustables, and they approached us last year to get a lot of our lifestyle and fashion influencers on board because they knew that part of their base and strategy would be, hey, this is what we're trying to accomplish. They have a lot of athletes that have already signed on, but they need to know that these get into lunch boxes and they're healthier, they have higher protein, they taste better. So then it's one of those things where it's like, okay, they're one of the ones that I like to work with because they have realized that the influencer marketing strategy is going to be the base, and that's what's going to propel it. And I think a lot of people start off by saying our product is what's going to win, but our product with no awareness of what the product is not going to make it. You have to get people to buy in from a marketing standpoint to propel the product. And then if the product is good, it will keep going. You have to start with the marketing aspect. So we're seeing it more and more. A lot more brands are coming in and being, hey, we want equity shareholders, people who trust in this brand, who want to be a part of it. And, we make sure they taste it and they try it and they like it, then they're on board. So we're seeing a lot more of that. We want to see more of it too.
I love hearing that. I think again, like the skin in the game aspect that's cool to hear that you think that's a trend that will continue. I'm curious, what else do you expect to see more of in the next year? Like, again, we live in and exist in a world that is constantly changing. What do you expect to be cemented in the next 12 months?
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about then. And I think if we're going to go the AI route, I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are thinking about AI and how that impacts any creator. This is what we're kind of echoing to our creators in a few fronts. AI is here to stay. So is getting to know people is here to stay. Getting to know a creator is going to be here to stay. Now, AI can do a lot of good things for the creators, speed up your processes, give you more ideas, create content potentially, help you understand what's working and what's not working. We're seeing kind of the shift where creators are so scared of it that they don't want to touch it. And we said that's not the case. We believe almost in this idea that creators who use AI will flourish, and creators who don't use AI at any part of it will probably fade away.
Mm.
Now, I don't think AI will take over the role of a creator, but those who know how to leverage it better are the ones who are going to figure things out a little bit faster. So I think in the next 12 months, it's understanding AI, the different tools that pop up. I feel like every day, understanding what's going to work and what's not going to work. A lot of these social media platforms are adapting their own AI tools too. So really understanding how to use it and adapt it, I think helps for a creator. I think it also helps for a brand. There's a lot of AI tools that are coming out that are helping with understanding what are the metrics and key needs that you need from a creator, or what does it look like. And I think they have to leverage it, even for a brand's own social media page. If you don't have a digital strategist and you're not working with someone, you need to, because that's part of it. You've got to leverage AI in your everyday.
Yes, I agree. I actually really like that approach. I think it mirrors ours, which is AI as an accelerant of human power, potential, creativity. We want to be connected with people, but we also want to unlock our own potential. And I think AI can be used to do that. So it's really interesting to hear that you're working with your creators to get more comfortable in like a very kind of scary and uncomfortable territory, because it can be all things, but it shouldn't be everything.
Exactly. And I think there's a lot of the Google VO3 that came out where it kind of showed people talking and it looked so real. And I had a lot of messages from creators being like, that's it, we're doomed. Like, we're not doomed. I think that this is just one aspect of it, but understanding how to use AI can really, I believe, accelerate what the creator can do and how quickly they can do things without overwhelming them, which is kind of hopefully the goal. So
Agreed. Okay, talking a little bit about accelerants, I think there are some gaps. We talk a lot about, measurement, visibility, standardization as a real need in our industry.
mm,
I'm curious where you see gaps. Like, what could the industry on the whole put forward that would help creators and brands work together in more meaningful, more impactful ways? And you can go back to the measurement example too, if that's one you see. I'm just putting that out as one that I see as an opportunity.
Yeah, I think measurement is what I would hope for. It's almost like everybody comes in and expects something different from influencer marketing. I think understanding what you want to get measured by is huge. I think from a brand perspective too, we work with a lot of brands who have worked with a creator, and they come and talk to us and say like, "Hey, we actually don't know how to work with creators. Can you help us? Like, this is what we believe you should measure them by. This is what we believe will be most successful, and like, let us know your goals, and we can help you adapt those." Measurement is a huge one. I think it's hard to standardize anything in this world, especially with influencer marketing. Things change so often that standardization can be tough. But I think understanding how you measure certain things, at least when it's like, are you going to go by ROI? Why is that important? Why is it not? Is it
Mm,
brand awareness? Why is it not? I think a lot of brands honestly are still over investing in traditional media. They need to start moving away from traditional media and use it as a secondary platform, not the primary purpose. And we're working with brands now like Jergens was so heavily invested in traditional media, and now they're working heavy into influencer marketing. And we're seeing a huge opportunity with them, and they're loving the results from that. But they were just so used to their previous marketing channels. And I believe that a lot of brands are going to get lost if they stick with traditional media. Their audience will just get older and older while they're trying to like, hey, how do we capture the younger audience? Well, you have to go where they are. And you want to create a longer lifespan for your brand, you have to tap into it. And it has to be the primary. And the additional needs to be the traditional media.
yep. That's actually really interesting. I think that measurement piece in terms of being able even to compare like incrementality, upside, apples to apples, traditional
Right.
versus kind of newer channels. And I actually think for me, I see a lot of crossover because what we've seen, a ton of our customers are using creator content in their traditional channels, and
Right.
that also outperforms. And so thinking about the way you approach, quote unquote influencer marketing is much broader today than it used to be. Are you seeing that in your brand contracts as well? Are they licensing content for use in traditional channels owned and operated? You're seeing that diversification of the way brands and creators create
We're seeing
value?
it here and there. Like, I don't think that everyone is adopting it. We have seen whitelisting is a very popular thing nowadays where they take the content. Hey, where can we put it? We've seen them repurpose it in commercials, not on live TV, but if you're watching, let's say, YouTube or something, you may see one of those pop up. And we see that more often than others. Whitelisting is a very popular thing that we're seeing kind of be adopted. We're also seeing a lot more brands that they shoot commercials, they're going to bring in a creator as part of that commercial. And we're
Yep.
seeing more of that because of the familiarity. You know who that person is. You're more likely to stay for the duration of the commercial that's happening rather than just know a commercial is here. Actually, this is the greatest point. I always use it for social media. When a commercial happens on TV, most people grab their phones and scroll through social media. That's where the commercial should be. No one's paying attention to commercials online unless, of course, the Super Bowl and we're all gathered around and watching it for one occasion. But most of the time, I mean, it's there when you wake up, social media. It's there when you go to bed. Most people use it. And it's there. Someone is watching TV and there's a commercial break. They're probably going to be on their phones again. So we've always said that they need to find a way to either leverage what they're going to see on their phone to captivate them on traditional media. And I'm 100% in agreement. The measurement that they use to capture traditional media metrics
Mm.
needs to be applied for influencer marketing. For some reason, they use influencer marketing as like well, where's all our money? I mean, well, if you put a commercial, you'd actually probably be in the hole and you'd be like, that's great. We got our name out there and look how people looked at it. And you have totally different metrics. We need to be able to kind of establish more of a true, like, okay, well, how would you measure that? We can also get influencer marketing to measure the same way and you'll see sales from it. It's hard. I think you have to work at the very top level. And my opinion is as the guards change at the top level, then that's where we think the spend will also start to change. And we're seeing it incrementally every year.
Yep. I've been talking with my team about a story about kind of the new class of C-suite being
Yeah.
really pulled from like social and influencer. We're seeing that across our customer base as well, across large, significant brands. And so I do think there's this meeting in the middle of like those of us who have the felt sense around why this is important, and then the technology, the tooling, the measurement that is becoming more sophisticated over time to really unlock what this can be in the future. My last question, and happy to kind of end the conversation with anything else you want to add. But my last question is, since you are so focused on staying tuned in to the North Star and to the long-term vision,
Yep.
what is your vision for the next 2 years for Trend?
Great question. I always say my North Star kind of tends to change every year, but this is the way that I've always thought about trend. We always believe in advocating for the creator. That's what got us here, advocating for whoever our client or customer is going to be. I started off by advocating for the creator first and foremost. When we started our Trend Social division, we wanted to make sure it wasn't under one umbrella, because if we were going to advocate for our clients, which would be the brands, we wanted to make sure that we were clearly advocating for the brands. My goal is that if we're going to tap into more verticals, we have to make sure that we're tapping into them where we're advocating solely for that thing. Athletes, we've kind of separated into its own division because it's a whole different industry with a whole different market, with a whole different feel. We've decided we're going to advocate solely for them. And so we're trying to figure out, how do we create more verticals in which quality is important, advocacy is in the center of it, and authenticity to who that person or brand is most important for us. So in 2 years, I want to make sure the quality is still on par. I want to make sure that our quality keeps improving. I want to make sure that we're using every AI tool possible that will enhance that and make sure that our errors are reduced greatly, because they're going to happen. But how we reduce them as we grow over time, and then making sure that we can we want to make sure that influencer marketing continues to grow. So how can we do that in whatever channels and avenues possible? So I've always said it from the very beginning. My hope was just to be able to help my wife and a few friends. I never thought that it would kind of turn into this. And I think that because it turned into this is because of our focus on what we were intentionally trying to do, that it grew into this. I think that everything else will follow. The money will follow. The opportunities will follow. Being good at what you're good at and making sure that you're focused on that is what's going to help anybody grow. And so that's what we're trying to do. And in 2 years, we hope to keep quality high, hope to improve performance, be able to help as many people as possible that are kind of navigating any of these spaces, and continue to do so at the highest level possible for everybody that we continue to service.
Love it. That's a great punctuation. Thanks so much for the conversation. Appreciate you and the work you're doing. Really good to talk to you. Ted Raad.
All right. Thank you so much, Brit.
Be a friend, tell a friend, and subscribe. Earned by CreatorIQ. CreatorIQ is your all-in-one solution to grow, manage, scale, and measure your influencer marketing program. Ready to unlock the power of the creator economy? Get started with a demo today at CreatorIQ.com.